So I made a mistake today, and that is that I sat here talking for almost 30 minutes, making some really good points, arguments, man. It was gospel. And I never noticed that I might have been muted in OBS. And because I was muted in the actual recording software, I actually cannot obtain the original video that I recorded a few hours ago. So we have to sit here and redo this video, remake those points, and we're gonna, of course, take a look at comments or stuff like that list left here for this specific question. So very silly. Hope you guys enjoyed that mishap. It is a bit funny. It's silly, but it's like 30 minutes of my life gone. So that's cool. But I think it's time to get into the main topic here. Saiyan Saga. Saiyan Saga being hype, being unhype, is it worth a major celebration? Stuff like that. And I did ask Twitter, what would your reaction be if Saiyan Saga was part 1 of the global Dokkan celebration? Now, before we get into the actual points or anything, just answer this question for me if you didn't on Twitter. What would your reaction be? Like, exactly, like, let's say in a few hours we got a teaser for global Dokkan celebration and it's like a wasteland and then you hear Goku and Vegeta talking to each other. What would your reaction be to that? All right, just like solely not knowing anything about the celebration, if there's going to be any new mechanics, like just initial reaction. So I want to see what you guys are thinking, right? Because YouTube may have some different opinions than Twitter. I think Twitter has been pushing a really strong campaign for Saiyan Saga, and I'm gonna go ahead and get my points here. I do think that Saiyan Saga could be a successful celebration potentially, but there is context, I think, to when a Saiyan Saga celebration drops, what's going on around it. And again, I think a lot of people are maybe looking at things kind of out of context of what's been going on in the year of Dokkan. Now, I'm sure a lot of people agree that Saiyan Saga is not going to be global Dokkan celebration, but there's been a lot of talk about Saiyan Saga being quote-unquote worthy for a celebration like this because it was, recently part of the Legends 7th anniversary part 2, which is ongoing right now. I mean, they just came out like 2 days ago with the new mechanic. It looks very exciting, ground battles, things like that. But we're gonna go ahead and focus about this in Dokkan because a lot of people are brought it over to the Dokkan community in terms of discussion. Now, first and foremost, Saiyan Saga. I think we can all agree it has been pretty widely disrespected throughout the history of Dokkan. In fact, actually, I should bring up, I did do this in the initial video as well. I should have done it in this video with foresight. But if we take a look here at the release date for these characters, just like go down the line, right? Saiyan Saga had nothing, dude. We had a world tournament LR, free-to-play characters, banner units, and the first time we actually got a premium character release for this was Vegeta and Nappa. Then we keep going. It was part of the 7th anniversary, Goku and Vegeta here. We had Raditz release. These three were on release not as good as everyone would have liked them to be. Raditz especially is very popularly known for not being that great. Nappa was nice on release and then he aged very quickly. Goku and Piccolo were a bit wonky with their design. Tien sucked. Yamcha came out. Yamcha was pretty good. We all did like Yamcha, I think, for sure. Yeah, Jobu was good. Like, that's cool. This kid Gohan, everyone hated him. I thought he was fine, but a lot of people really despise this guy. A lot of people didn't like Gohan Piccolo right here. And then we had these free-to-play characters released. During this time, we started eventually getting some easy A's for these characters. Like very recently, we had the Extreme Z Awakening for these two. Kaioken Goku was a flop. Yamcha's pretty good. Great Vegeta's very good. So it's like, there's been a lot of valleys, I think, for this arc. And I think that Saiyan Saga deserves to be like a headliner for one of the larger celebrations. Whether it's even New Year's, Golden Week, or, people would really, I think a lot of people would really like this to be a Dokkan celebration. And we'll see in the replies, a lot of people, I took a little sneak peek, obviously, because I looked at the video earlier, but there was a lot of positive responses to this, right? And I think it makes sense. Being fair, we know how Dokkan Twitter is. Once an idea gets pushed out and gets pushed out a lot, it becomes like a popularized idea, especially with people seeing how fun Legends is with the new mechanics right now. I think brings a breath of fresh air. I think that positivity is being brought towards Dokkan with Saint Saga, and I think that's very fair. But there's two reasons why I think, like, when we consider context, this year wouldn't really be a good choice for Saint Saga, and a lot of people agree. But just to explain why the context is important, Dokkan does peaks and valleys with this game. Obviously, it's very, very clear. We have Anniversary, then into Saiyan Day, then April, kind of a, like a more lull period. Then we go into Golden Week. Then we have a lull period with June. Now we're going to have Global Dokkan Celebration in July. Then there's going to be a lull period in August. Then in September, we're going to have Tanabata, wherever the new celebration is going to be. Then we get into a little bit of a lull period until we get New Year's, then Anniversary again, and then you guys get the point. There's peaks and valleys with this game between hype, very exciting characters that will reach like the general audience, like a Blue Cow Goku, versus something like a Pycon in April, right? The issue that's been going on with this year is that all the like Super Saiyan 3, hype, mega, like, you see like a Dragon Ball Z fan on the streets wearing a Super Saiyan 3 Goku shirt or something, right? Those people, that will attract a lot of buzz to the game, a lot of playtime on the game, compared to like, Episode 1 Kid Goku. Unfortunately, I don't think people are jumping out of their seats for him. I was very excited for this guy, but a lot of people didn't like him as a Saiyan Day choice. Daimyo Vegeta, underwhelming. Then we go to Kid Goku, great card, but a lot of people didn't actually like him as a Saiyan Day choice. Bardock was cool though, actually. A lot of people like that Bardock. So, he was ended up being really good. I think Cell on his team initially, but once he was able to get a setup, I think he was really like looking pretty strong on his own. Obviously, we got the EGL so easy, Tech so easy was really good. So Cell had a little bit of partnership, but I don't think people are necessarily jumping out of their seats for Cell as much as, even Daimyo Vegeta, for example. I mean, I don't like taking this into consideration, but Cell wasn't, Cell sold worse than like Kid Goku or Buhan or Lord Slug. I don't really want to count, like, Cell sold worse than SDR Roshi somehow, unfortunately. I think that, I don't think that necessarily says like, oh, what's hype and what's not hype, but, when it comes to Dokkan, hype in terms of like, okay, what will they release that is an exciting character? They take a look at maybe app time, how much money they make, and they're like, okay, people are willing to spend more money because they're more excited for this character, like especially during the big celebrations, which is why they release these big characters during the big celebrations. But even outside of those celebrations, they can tell what sells the best, especially after 10 years. So that's why they may choose to release a character like Cell, perfect form, rather than his, perfect Cell form during April, Pycon during April, right? I think the biggest fumble though was this guy not being good, because this is like where people like, dude, no one talks about hate anymore. No one talks about Khalifa Killen. People still talk about this guy. You know why? Because of Super Saiyan Blue Cow Goku, but also because he sucks. If it was really good, people will still be talking about it because it's Blue Cow Goku. But because he sucks, people are so disappointed in him. And I think that's really the start of where, like, Daimyo Vegeta was obviously disappointing, but at least, Cell, Pycon were good, Kid Goku is good. It's like, maybe it's just one mishap, the rest of the year will be good. This guy not being good really brought people's hype down. People were really excited for a Cat Fluffer Part 2. Ended up being a non-fusing Khalifa Kale. That continued to bring people's hype down. And then I think Mercenary Tao and Tien, really good characters, deserved to be part of this celebration in June. I think they're a really good choice for this month. This month is usually, again, a low period. Before we used to go into Tanabata at the end of the month. Now it's going to be Global Dokkan Celebration. The issue with this is that they're also not exciting characters. So people's excitement for the game, I think, continued to dwindle down in terms of characters. A lot of people didn't like the event and things like that, and that's fair, but I think the character choices kind of do matter too. I would agree with that. Now, if they go ahead and do Saiyan Saga right now, I think that it is, at the end of the day, still Goku and Vegeta, and would be very, very exciting. But when we're talking about, okay, what's going to bring the most attention, buzz, excitement back to the game for a lot of players, probably wouldn't be Saiyan Saga Goku versus Vegeta as their first choice, right? especially as a headline, the one that defines the celebration. That's my only thing against like a Saint Saga for this year, which is why I would be maybe a little worried. And coming from a, you know, maybe a YouTuber perspective on top of this, I could tell which characters people are more excited for, because they're the characters that people want to see the most when it comes to showcases or talk about them, right? Now, this happened though. Saint Saga, one of the most beautifully written arcs. Amazing. I love Saint Saga. I love Saint Saga so much. And I'm putting this in here just that people are like, oh, you're hating on Saint Saga as well. I think Saint Saga would be a great choice for a global Dokkan celebration. Just maybe not this year, right? Another reason is I think EZAs as well. I mean, if you take a look at EZAs here, you know, Kid Gohan, Goku Piccolo, maybe these two could happen, but they're not even part of the Saint Saga team. Raditz, Goku Piccolo again. They're a part of the Saint Saga team, but you know, it's just two EZAs. I'm thinking maybe next year we can get Gohan Piccolo right here. We can get maybe the Vegeta Nappa EZA, yeah, Jirobe EZA. I think we could even see Prime Battle Krillin get a Super EZA. We could see this Piccolo right here get a Super EZA for this LR Kid Gohan, right? Like it could be, there's enough EZAs to group together into a pretty big celebration for next year, I would say. Like if that was like a part 1 of Global Dokkan Celebration next year, I don't think it would be like a bad idea, honestly, especially if it's a thing of like, honestly, I would say like you could argue like if this guy was really good, if this was a Kefla, like we would have, I think hype levels in terms of people's excitement would be a lot higher, because like if Daima Vegeta was good, then we go into a really good Blue Falcon, then we go into Fusing Kefla here. Could they do Saint Saga in the spot? I think they could. Like, I think they could push Saint Saga in a really good way, where there's a new mechanic and there's something like fresh to the game. Seeing the voice beam clash animations, like that could be a hitter. We saw 23rd World Tournament. 23rd World Tournament. A lot of people were hating and moaning and bitching and just really like, oh my goodness, 23rd World Tournament. Wah! And then guess what? Look back now. You know what people look back at him now? Wow, that Golden Week was really good. I wonder why. Maybe because they made the characters really good. Maybe because, you know, the standby mechanic, I think that was new and global at the time. You know, I think it was something that wasn't really represented in the game previously. They set up their teams really well. Like, they just did that celebration with those characters really, really good. Good free-to-play characters. Physical Piccolo ZZ was amazing. Like, they just hit the mark with every single thing that will make a celebration really good. They could do the same for Saint Saga. They could, if they really wanted to. And again, it is still a Goku versus Vegeta. It's still a Goku versus Vegeta. And then if they really wanted to capitalize, then they're like, we have to have some hype, mega new form in there. Okay. Think about something like this. Goku versus Vegeta in the first part. Then in the second half, it could be Blue Goku versus Vegeta. But what if it's like from Resurrection F or something? Maybe that wouldn't sound so exciting. Maybe it's from Future Saga. Just like from some part of the series. I mean, we would all not like this. But they could do Tournament of Power. Like a part 1, Saint Saga Goku versus Vegeta, and then part 2 would be UI Goku and Blue versus Vegeta. No one would want that, I think. I wouldn't even want that either, honestly. I think Tournament of Power we're good on. We had another Blue Evolution Vegeta this year. I think if it was like a Super Saiyan Blue, or you know, if Shueisha, if our buddies at Shueisha weren't like, no, you know, it'd be really nice if we had like Ultra Ego Vegeta. Wouldn't that be sick? I think that would be a sick celebration. Goku versus Vegeta from the Saiyan Saga, and then the modern Goku and Vegeta, UI Goku, and then UE Ultra Ego. So I guess if they were gonna choose to do that, they would probably switch it around. But I think in a thing like that, Saiyan Saga with like new mechanics and everything like that, great animations, I think it could be popular. They could really do it. It's just a matter of will they do it? Probably not. But I think it's not out of the question. If it was like a year where there's a lot of bangers, like they control what they release. If they like don't release like a Pikkon, but in that spot, what if it was Super Saiyan Goku, right? You guys get the point where it depends on the hype level and what they're doing throughout the year. I think can sustain even like a major celebration being non-Super Saiyan, less than usual hype character, right? But if it's a year where they're dropping PyCon, where they're dropping Tao and Tien right before a major celebration, and I love those characters. But there's peaks and valleys in this game, and I think the peaks ended up becoming valleys because they're not good enough. And hits do really matter, which is why another reason why I think that this could be, and especially if there was a very positive push for it, I think the community itself would feel positive. That's kind of the thing about Saint Saga right now. Again, we're gonna see a lot of these replies. People would be like, yes, that'd be so cool. It's about that positive push to it. If everyone's being super negative about it, even people were negative during the 10th anniversary. And then there's like a negative association with this year because of that. For some reason, right? Like people are gonna look back next year at this year and be like, wow, this year was crazy, right? But again, that's my argument why I do think Saiyan Saga could be exciting. It doesn't sound exciting to a lot of people at first, but I think it could be made into something that is exciting. But there are arguments on both ends, which is why I really wanted to cover here. It's a win because good characters, and if Dokkan dies, Dokkan Twitter has to finish school or get a job. I did read this one. That one was very funny. I did see this as well. I pointed out that, this is EZA LR versions of Goku, so it makes sense that it would be excited for, Saiyan Saga. If meta cooler made it to worldwide, then this can easily go by. I think that is not a terrible point, but cooler is at the part of the series where they're like he's paired with Super Saiyan Goku. I think when people think about the cooler celebration, they don't even necessarily think about meta cooler. They think about STR Final Form Cooler. And STR Final Form Cooler is like one of the villains that I feel like two people have actual aura. Like you look at some of these other movie villains, like people like Bojack, but like then you look at Janemba or Final Form Cooler, and that's who people are really thinking about. I think Meta Cooler, obviously still being cooler, makes people excited, but it's really Final Form Cooler that I think stands out to so many people from that celebration. Even honestly above Super Saiyan Goku and the Ijo, Goku, and Vegeta, but people are still going to be super excited for the EZAs because they're not only like, well, okay, Ijo, Goku, and Vegeta needs to be redeemed, but the Carnival Goku is really good, and there are Super Saiyan characters, right? And obviously us villain enjoyers really did like Meta Cooler for like villains in general, so I think a better, again, argument would be 23rd World Tournament. And the thing is that, okay, I made this point in the original video as well, since I was muted, but 23rd World Tournament, I think, is not on the, like, if we're gonna make an arbitrary hype scale, which honestly is kind of like, I think, if we're gonna talk about like a hype scale in Dokkan, it has to be based off of what gets people to talk the most about the game, or honestly, make the most revenue when it comes to looking from a dev perspective, or I should say more Bandai's perspective, right? Higher ups. This is probably going to be much more widely known and widely accepted than 23rd World Tournament, just because it is people's first, like it's many people's first introduction to the series, the Saiyan Saga, but also this fight is very good and very iconic, right? Especially the Beam Clash, which again, getting voice animations would be really good. Zenokin would not like that right now. You could very clearly tell. You see Spider-Man Shark 2.0 again does not like this. There's also Daima. A few people bring up Daima. I think that's something I didn't even mention, but like Daima is something people are really looking forward to, but I don't really think that's necessarily a thing against Saiyans. Like I think anything pit against Daima Super Saiyan 4 Adult Goku right now would lose. Just like how in 2023 people wanted superhero for worldwide, ended up being cooler because of how things played out. But regardless of that, I think it's a thing of the newest content would be what people would be most excited for regardless. Now, everything else around Daima, like maybe Ku-in-Do, even Mini Super Saiyan 4, I think people would be fine waiting for. It's really that adult Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Mini Super Saiyan 4 is exciting too, but you can kind of tell. Okay, do you see anyone talk about Daima anymore? I see more people talk about Dragon Ball Super than Daima. The only thing I see talked about Daima now is Super Saiyan 4 Goku. And if you play Legends, Daima's obviously a huge part, but you know, that's a whole other thing. Screaming because give me this shit. And the entire celebration is going through Z. I don't know if that'd be the case. Both games seem to fuck up a Vegeta unit on a release, and then Dokkan fixes it upon UZA. That is kind of true. That's kind of true. So Saiyan Saga into Namek is ideal. LR Goku into Goku Kaioken. Tag Vegeta and Nappa or standalone Vegeta. Then Goku Kaioken into Super Saiyan Goku. And then Carnival Frieza into Full Power Frieza. The only thing is, I would like Saiyan Saga to be a dual Dokkan festival, which could obviously be a really big issue for global Dokkan celebration. Or like, you know, these Dokkan Fest LR celebrations. I would ideally like both of them to get Dokkan Fest, which is why maybe even Golden Week or New Year's would be a better suitable option, because they both deserve Dokkan events, right? I mean, like, if they did dual Dokkan Fest for part 1, and then these two as part 2 were Carnival LRs, they have their Dokkan events. They don't need a new Dokkan events. That I would actually prefer that, because Carnival LR still could have good leader skills. This guy could be like a Super Saiyan's leader, and this guy could be like Terrifying Conquerors or something like that, right? And then these two getting premium Dokkan Fest leader skills and having a Dokkan event would matter to me more in terms of representation, because yeah, I think it would make a lot more sense too. Yeah, little kids in their replies crying about Saiyan Saga. I mean, I made this tweet the other day, but a lot of the people who play this game are like what, 16, 17, or like, you know, early 20s. And, you know, a lot of those kids probably grew up starting Dragon Ball Super online, right? Yep, bust over the screen. You'll be jacking off. Absolute cinema. See, again, a lot of people are excited about it, but let's take a look at some of the replies here. I'd be very happy. Disappointing, I did read this, but not because Saint Saga is unhype, I assume, but rather we still need Daima. LR's recently got their EZAs. We need a dual Dokkan Fest as well. Not because they aren't worthy or hype of the logistics of the game is right now, and I did talk about this previously. Truth, Unk would crash out. I think it would be the funniest crash out of all time. And you know what? The funniest thing about that, if they did announce like a Saiyan Saga for this global Dokkan celebration, people would be excited for it because Truth would get mad at it. People would find it so... It's so funny that Truth crashing out would make people like laugh and then bring positivity to them. That's hilarious, dude. That's hilarious. That's actually like, let's take a look at some of the replies here. Let's see. The man Truth said I'd rather have multiple additional normals. Yeah, I guess being fair, people are like, it would be funny to see. If they're a fumble, these guys, I'd be sad. If they're good units, you'd be hyped to the moon. And again, like a lot of these tweets are getting like a good amount of likes, right? Exciting. A PC port alongside the updates so they can keep it. Unless they release a PC port, they can keep it. The only reason Legends made it work is because new gameplay. I mean, global Dokkan celebrations, some of these, like these major big celebrations, usually do provide a new mechanic. Now, there hasn't been an app update yet. I'm starting to wonder if there's not going to be a new mechanic for this global Dokkan celebration, which would be a little weird. We are still like 2 weeks away. We're like, okay, the 30th is when the countdown starts. We could see teasers this weekend or the next weekend or like around here, but like by next week, we should start getting teasers 100%. I don't know. We'll see. You'd be hyped, but you really want Daima. Sleep. It's so peak. Vegeta isn't going to be the guy who brings Extreme Class together. I would agree. It would have to be a character like Frieza, who has a lot of villain links, like the bosses. There's for Conquest. Goma has that as well. Depends on what the mechanic is. If there's none, then you don't care, because the entire fight has had anniversary animations, except the beam struggle wasn't voiced. That's fair take too. Just drop Daima. Should have been... Okay, this is talking about Legends. I did see this. this guy's excited for it. Let's see. I know Dondre said he had a response. I'm actually kind of looking for that. A lot of these kind of are making the same points. There has to be a ton of content events, plus both units have to be cracked. And again, that's where I was talking about. Like, I think as long as the units are really good, the celebration gives a lot of stones. There's a good content that people are enjoying. The vibes being brought into the celebration will kind of ease out a little. People will get mad at anything. People get mad at Vegito. People got mad at Vegito being 10th anniversary. People got mad at Vegito being that worldwide in what, 2020? I think we had to come to a point where we realize people are always going to be mad, right? It's about the vibes of the celebration. And honestly, you could argue that the content and EZAs and the vibe of the celebration are more important a little bit than the new characters. Obviously, the new characters, if they're bad, that brings down a huge chunk of it. But it'd be like more like 40% new characters, 60% content event and stuff. Obviously, you fail either one of those, it's a failing grade. But if you do pretty good at both, it's obviously really good. As long as part 2 is Goku versus Frieza. But no, this is the TUR art. Frieza does have this art technically in the STRLR. Even a non-Super Saiyan celebration can pass a Super Saiyan celebration if it's done well enough. I just think this is like the best, like, you know, non-Super Saiyan fight though. Hey, this is from Legends. It'd be my pick if they do it right. I can imagine it being a good time. I don't see Dondre's comment. Dondre, what separates us from a dual Black and Zamasu units? Maybe with the Vegito Gogeta mechanic from the 10th anniversary, it would be cool to see. Maybe you're open to an unusual celebration. Although it's clear that it's Daima from a distance. I think eventually we'll see a fusing Goku Black and Zamasu. But I think, again, there's a lot of Future Saga stuff upcoming. We could see Vegeta Trunks here and Zamasu, but next year, Ajo, Vegito Blue, Tech Fusion Zamasu can get their EZAs. I mean, we could see, like, okay, I think the cooler EZAs could have very realistically happened during this Global Dokkan celebration, no matter what. Like, what if next year Future Saga is part of the anniversary, and it's a fusing VB and a fusing Zamasu? Like part 2 or something like that, right? And then we get like these EZAs for Vegeta Trunks and Zamasu. We get Tech Fusion Zamasu EZA, Ajo BB EZA, Super EZAs for physical Vegito Blue, Ajo Rose, and Sword of Hope Trunks, Tech Fusion Zamasu. Like, that'd be super exciting. That would be a crazy celebration, right? After my disappointment, Golden Week and my boredom with Tao celebration, despite putting the units, you'd be pretty bummed. But if the units are superb, then I accept it since it loves making Saiyan Saga missions despite the category being terrible. And again, yeah. And then if like part 2 is like a bigger character than you would expect for part 2, I think that can kind of even things out for people who may not be as excited for Saiyan Saga, but will be like Super Saiyan fans, right? Goku Vegeta, you're happy. Yeah, again, and again, at the end of the day, is Goku and Vegeta, right? GDC needs to be Daima, so you won't really be happy. You're fine with 11th anniversary being Saiyan Namek. Interesting. I think they could maybe do that, but I think anniversaries, especially like where they're gonna play it very, very, very safe, right? I think Global Dokkan Celebration is worldwide, essentially. I think it's, I mean, they're kind of basically saying, oh yeah, this is basically global anniversary, but in this worldwide kind of spot, that's where they experiment more with bringing out some villains and things like that, which is why I think like especially Saiyan Saga could work in this slot. But anniversary, I think it's like, it's always gonna be a Super Saiyan or Fusion. Like it is what it is, right? Or at least a Saiyan character, like, you know. Anyways, I think I made my point very well. I'm luckily not muted this time. Let me know what you guys are thinking. I did not find your response, Dondre, so I'm sorry. It is what it is. You're somewhere. Like, you're somewhere in here, Dondre. You have to be. But you're just, like, so far below, maybe? I don't see you. Very sad. But we got a lot of responses here. Thanks all for watching. And, of course, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.